Shalom. All praise, all honor and glory go to Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. Peace and safety to the hopeful elect, man. All the sincere brothers and sisters out there, those scattered to the four corners that sincerely believe in the Heavenly Father through His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai. And in this video, I'm gonna deal with the pre-tribulation period. Um, Not dealing with the rapture, all right, because that's not a biblical term that's used in the Bible. That's Catholicism, but you do have a pre-tribulation period, and I'm gonna show you that in this lesson. So the first scripture I want to get is Revelation 12:14. It says, "And to the woman it was given two wings of a great eagle, two wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness." Now, this dealing with the chariots, basically. All right. I'm gonna show you through the precepts what the two wings of a great eagle that the woman might fly. It says into her place, where she is nourished for a time and a half time from the face of the serpent. Now that woman is symbolic of the elect. All right, that's the woman. All right. The two wings of a great eagle is dealing with the chariots, basically the angels, because that's who the chariots are, the angels. It says in the book of Psalms that he ride he ride upon the cherubims, all right, which are angels, all right, that she might fly into the wilderness. Now that wilderness, I'm gonna show you through the precepts, is referring to the land of Israel, all right, specifically Megiddo, all right, which in the Hebrew tongue is called Armageddon. It says where she is nourished, and that's the pre-tribulation. Okay, that's pre-tribulation, man. All right, for a times and a half time. All right, so now let's get the precept. Let's show you how she gonna fly, man. Okay, so let's get the book of Luke, Luke 17, and let's read verse. Let's see. Let's read verse 34. It says, "And I tell you, in that night there shall be two men in one bed. The one shall be taken, and the other shall be left. Two women shall be grinding together. One shall be taken, and the other one left. Two men shall be in the field, and one shall be taken, and the other one left." So now let's look up these words here. So it says, one shall be taken. Let's look up this word taken. Because you have some brothers who say those that you want, those who are taken are the ones that's going to be destroyed. You're being taken to destroy. But that's not biblical, man. Let's show you what that taken is referring to. It says taken, it says to receive, to taken to take up, to ascend, to take up by the way of the angels. All right. It says take away, take away. It says to take to. It says to join to oneself, to associate, a companion, a companion. It says to accept or acknowledge one to be such as he professes to be. It says transmitted, transmitted. So that's how the woman gonna fly into her place where she is nourished for a time and a half time. She's gonna be transmitted. The elect gonna be transmitted by the way of the angels, man. Okay. It says to receive with the mind. It says by oral transmission. It says, okay, let's see. Uh it says to receive near, to associate with oneself in a familiar or intimate act or relations. All right. So basically to be transmitted. Okay. Transmitted. So now let's look up left, because according to a lot of guys in Israel, they say those who are left are the blessed. All right. And you want to be left behind. Let's see what this word left goes into. So it says to leave, forgive. It says suffer. It says forsake. It says forsake. It says to send away, to bid going away or depart, of a husband divorcing his wife. All right. A husband divorcing his wife. Yahweh Shai is the husband, the wife, the woman is the Israelites. Okay. So it says of a husband divorcing his wife to send forth. It says to let go, let alone, to discard, to disregard, Salakia, to leave, to leave. All right. So it also says to neglect, to neglect. It says to desert, abandon, leave destitute, leave destitute. So those who are left behind are the ones who's going to be judged, man. All right. Who's going to receive the wrath of the Heavenly Father. Those who are taken, transmitted. Okay. Those who are transmitted, those are the ones who are blessed. So when you go back and you read that Luke 17:34, it says, I tell you in that night that there shall be two men in one bed. The one shall be taken, transmitted, and the other one shall be left. All right. The other one shall be left. So now what you want to do is to get the understanding. Let's read verse 37. And they answered and said unto him, where, Lord? Where, Lord? So basically, where are these people being taken? All right. They're not concerned with those who are left. He said, where, Lord? And he said unto them, wheresoever the body is, thither will the eagles be gathered. So that's basically a clue. All right. Where that woman's going to be taken, where she's going to be, where she's going to fly into. Let's go back to that Revelations chapter 12, and let's read verse 14 again. So it says, and the woman were given two wings of a great eagle. We just read what those wings are symbolic of. All right. Her being transmitted. All right. It says, and she might fly, that she might fly into the wilderness, fly into the wilderness. Now, the wilderness is the same place where the eagle's going to be gathered. That's where the woman is going to be taken. It says into her place, into a place, a literal place. So this is pre-tribulation, man. All right. This is not dealing with the elect ascending up in the cloud into heaven. All right. It says into her place where she is nourished for a time, time and a half time from the face of the serpent. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth. And the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed. Now we're going into tribulation, okay? Which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Yahweh Shai. All right. So it's two different deliverances. All right. That first deliverance that took place in Luke 17, where one was taken and the other one was left. All right. That's what we dealing with, the pre-tribulation. Okay. So now let's show you the place. All right. Where the eagles was gathered. Let's show you the place where the woman was nourished for a time, time and a half time from the face of the serpent. Okay. So let's get the book of Ezekiel. Let's get the book of Ezekiel. Let's 38. So this is the book of Ezekiel 38. And we're going to break it down precept upon precept, man. All right. No private interpretations, man. Give you the correct understanding and timeline. Okay. The correct breakdown of what this woman receiving these wings of an eagle that she might fly into the wilderness. All right. Now we finna show you where. Remember, this is the pre-tribulation period. All right. So we'll pick up at verse 8. It says, "And after many days thou shalt be visited in the latter years thou shalt come up into the land that is bought back." This is the place, that land that is bought back from the sword and is gathered out of many people against the mountains of Israel. The mountains of Israel, which have all been always waste, but is brought back out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely, all of them. So that's what Revelation 12 was referring to, about the woman flying into her place where she is nourished for a time and a half time. All right, that's the elect dwelling safely, all of them, all of them. Now let's jump down to 14 for time's sake. It says, "Therefore, son of man, prophesy and say unto God, thus saith the Lord, in that day when my people of Israel dwelleth safely." All right. Remember, it's only for a time and a half time. All right. Like I said, this is the pre-tribulation period, man. Okay. It's two deliverance. Okay. The first deliverance is the elect being taken. All right. That's the example we read in Luke 17 and also in Revelation 12. All right. They're going to be transmitted to a place in the Hebrew tongue called Armageddon. All right. Which is Megiddo, which is in the land of Israel. All right. Remember, this is not them being ascending up in the cloud. All right. So it says, verse 14 again, "Therefore, son of man, prophesy and say unto God, thus saith the Lord, in that day when my people of Israel dwelleth safely." All right, dwelleth safely. All right. Thou, it says, "Shalt thou not know it? Thou shalt not know it." So let's keep let's keep reading. And I'm gonna break it down for you, man, and give you the correct understanding. Okay, because it's a lot of false doctrines taught on this particular on Revelation chapter 12. So it says, thou shalt come from thy place. Well, we'll read down to 19. It says, "Thou shalt come from thy place out of the north, thou and many people with thee, all of them ride upon horses, great companies, and a mighty army." Now we're going into the tribulation. It says, "And thou shalt come up against my people of Israel." Remember, they was dwelling safely for a time and a half time. Okay. It says, "As a cloud to cover the land, And it says that the heathen, well, Salakia. It says, "And thou shalt come up against my people Israel as a cloud to cover the land. It shall be in the latter days, and I will bring thee against my land, that the heathen may know me when I shall be sanctified in thee, O God, before their eyes." Because God is a title used to describe the nations. Okay, if you read up in the chapter, all right, it'll explain it to you. So let's keep reading. Verse 17, "Thus saith the Lord God, art thou he of whom I spoke it in old time by my servants the prophets of Israel, which prophesy in those days many years, that I will bring thee against them? And it shall come to pass at that same time, when Gog shall come against the land of Israel. All right, so that's where they're going to be taken. Remember, it said wherever the eagles is gathered, that's where the carcass is going to be. Okay, that's that place. All right, that's the wilderness. All right, where the woman was nourished for a time and a half time, pre-tribulation, man. So it says, and it shall come to pass at the same time when God shall come against the land of Israel, saith the Lord, that my fury shall come upon my face. So this is going into the tribulation. All right. Remember, we dealing with pre-tribulation. Let's jump down. Let's jump down to verse 22. It says, and I will plead against him with pestilence and with blood, and I will rain upon his bands. I will rain upon him and upon his bands and upon the many people that are with him, overflowing rain, great hailstones, fire and brimstone. Thus will I magnify myself and sanctify myself, and I will be known in the eyes of many nations, and they shall know that I am the Lord. They shall know that I am the Lord. So let's go back to that Luke. Let's go back to that Luke 17:37. It says, and they answered and said unto him. So basically the apostles um asked the Lord, where, Lord? Where are these people going to be taken? Where are they going to be transmitted to? Where are they flying away to? Okay, basically what the apostles asked the Lord. And he said unto them, wheresoever the body is, thither will the eagles be gathered. Now we know those bodies are referring to dead bodies. Okay, how do we know that? Let's get a quick precept. Matthew's, I believe, 24. And let's see, 28. So this is Matthew's 24:28, and it says, for whatsoever the carcass is. All right, so that's the proof that those bodies are dead bodies. All right, there with the eagles be gathered. Now that's going into the great supper. Okay, let's prove that. Let's get Ezekiel. Let's go back to the prophet Ezekiel. Ezekiel chapter 39. Let's read Ezekiel chapter 39, and I pick up at 4. So this is Ezekiel 39 and 4. It says, thou shalt fall upon the mountain of Israel. All this is taking place in Israel. That's the place. That's the wilderness. All right. That's where the woman was nourished for a time and half time. All right. So it says, thou shalt fall upon the mountains of Israel, thou and all thy bands, and all thy people that is with thee. I will give unto thee. I will give thee unto the ravenous birds of every sort, and to the beasts of the field to be devoured. This is taking place in Israel. When you jump down, it says, and it shall come to pass in that day. So this is Ezekiel 39 and 11. And it shall come to pass in that day that I will give unto thee, God, a place of graves in Israel. Megiddo, man. Megiddo is in Israel. It says the valley of passengers on the east of the sea. And it shall stop the noses of the passengers, and there shall they bury Gog and all his multitude. And they shall call it the valley of Hamagog. The valley of Hamagog. So, like I said, that's going into the Great Supper. Let me get that in Revelation 19 real quick. So this is Revelation 19, and I'll read verse 17. So it says, and I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that fly in the midst of the heaven, come and gather yourselves together into the supper of the great God. And ye may eat the flesh of kings, and the flesh of captains, and the flesh of mighty men, and the flesh of horses, and of them that sit on them, and the flesh of all men, free, both free and bond, small and great. And I saw the beasts and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse, and against his army. So that's dealing with the great supper. All right. Chapter 17. Luke chapter 17 and verse 39. That's dealing with the great supper. Okay. So this is the pre-tribulation. All right. So let's go back to that Ezekiel 38. So this is Ezekiel chapter 38. And dealing with the pre-tribulation to show you that it's two separate um deliverance, man. It's the deliverance of the elect, all right, being taken to Megiddo, being given those wings so they can fly into the wilderness, into the place where they will be nourished for a time and a half time. Okay. Let's see. Ezekiel 38 and 8. It says, and after many days thou shalt be visited. In the latter days thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword and is gathered out of many people. All right. Remember the Lord say he shall send his angels, and they shall gather his elect from the four winds. It says, against the mountains of Israel, which have always been waste, but it is brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely, all of them, for a time and a half time. Okay. So now I want to get another precept. Let's get that let's get that Revelation 20. So this is Revelations chapter 20. And let's read verse 6. So this is Revelation 20 and 6. And it says, blessed and holy is he that take part in the first resurrection. All right. That first resurrection is what you read about in Luke 17. That's what you read about in Revelation 12 and 14. Okay. Let's look up this word resurrection. So blessed is he that take part in the first resurrection. It says to rising again. That should be, it say raised to life again. All right. It says raised from the dead. Raised from the dead. It says that of all men at the end of this present age, a standing up again. A standing up again. All right. So this is not dealing with the resurrection of death, okay, from the dead, okay. Like I said, it says recovery. It says of spiritual truth. All right. It says a standing up again. All right. So now let's it says a raising up. Okay, raising up, rising up. Let's see here. A rising up. All right, that's the first definition. But you also have a raising from the dead. We all know about the resurrection of our Lord, raising from the dead. All right, so let's go back. So it says, blessed and holy is he that take part in the first resurrection. On such the second death has no power. All right. So when the tribulation period began, remember we're dealing with pre-tribulation. All right. So when the tribulation began, all right, it's not going to affect the elect, man. Those who was taken, it's not going to affect them. All right. It says, on such the second death have no power, but they shall be priests of God and of Yahushua, and shall reign with him a thousand years for a time and a half time. All right. That's the pre-tribulation period, man. All right. So it says, and when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan, all right, Gog and Magog shall be loose out of his prison. All right. Loose out of his prison is not talking about a literal 1,000 years. All right. Remember that times and a half time adds up to 1,203 score. All right. Meaning 1,000 days, 1,260 days, man. All right. That's why it says 1,000 years. So after it says, and when the 1,000 years are expired, meaning when the 1,260 days are expired, Satan, Gog and Magog, shall be loose out of his prison and shall go forth to deceive the nations which are in the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. And they went up on the breadth of the earth and compassed the camp of the saints. And that's what you read about in Ezekiel 38. Them dwelling safely, okay, all right, in the land of Israel, being nourished for a time and a half time, which adds up to 1,260 days. It says, and compassed the camp of the saints, compassed the Israelites about, and the beloved city, and fire came down from God out of heaven and devoured them, just like we read in Ezekiel 38, 22, and 23. Okay. It says, and the devil that deceived them were cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. So they're never going to rise again. Okay. And that's the correct understanding, man. So now Revelations. Let's go into Revelations chapter 11. All right. So this is Revelation chapter 11. And we're going to read, let's see. Let's read verse 11. It says, and after 3 days and a half, after the 1,000 years, after the 1,260 days, the spirit of life from God entered into them, those who were taken. All right. Those who was taken. All right. Taken where? All right. Taken to Megiddo. Taken to a place, um, taken to a place where they're nourished for a time and a half time. And that's the 3 days and a half. So it says, after the 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from God entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and a great fear fell upon them which saw them. And they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud. See? So that's your second transmitting, man. That's your second time that they're being taken. The first time they was taken to a place. All right. It says wherever the eagles are gathered, there wherever the bodies is gathered, there will the eagles be. Wherever the carcasses is gathered, that's where the eagles shall be. All right. And based on the precepts, Ezekiel 39 is taking place in Israel. In Israel, Megiddo. So uh this is a second deliverance. It says, and after 3.5 days, the spirit, after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from God entered into them, and they stood upon their feet. And it says, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. And they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, come up hither. In Luke 17, they didn't hear a great voice saying, come up hither. They was just taken to a place. All right. So it says, come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them. All right. And their enemies beheld them. So let's keep reading, man. Let's get some more precepts. All right. Now let's go to that Revelation. Let's stay in Revelation. Let's get Revelation chapter 21. Now we're going to show them coming down from heaven. All right. So this is a separate account, man. This is not dealing with them being taken. All right. It's not dealing with them getting those wings and flying into the wilderness, a place where there was nourished for a time and a times and a half time. Remember, after the 3 days and a half, the Spirit of the Lord entered into them and they stood on their feet. Okay. So this is Revelation 21. And let's start at the top. It says, and I saw a new heaven and a new earth, and the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. See, this is a whole separate account, man. It says, and I John saw the holy city, which is the elect. All right, those who went up. All right, who ascended up into the cloud. The same ones that was taken in Luke 17, man. All right, it says, and I John saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. Prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. That's the same woman that received the wings like an eagle that she may fly. All right. Those are the ones who are joined too. Remember, we look up the word taken. All right. Remember the word taken. Look up the word taken in Luke 17. Okay. And it says, I heard a great voice from heaven saying, behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and God himself shall be with them and be their God. And God shall wipe away their tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death. There shall be no more death. See, after they was taken in Luke 17, it was more death. Once they was taken to Megiddo, it was more death. All right. Remember, they was dwelling safely for a time and half time until Gog and Magog. All right. Till Satan was loose. All right. And deceived the nations to compass the camp of the saints. All right. That's when the Lord going to bring the fire and brimstone, going to rain fire and brimstone and destroy them all, man. So this is a separate account. All right. It says, God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death. No, it says, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. And he that sat on the throne upon the throne said, behold, I make all things new. And he said unto me, write these words. It says, write, for these words are true and faithful. So that's the correct understanding, man. All right. That those in Revelation 12, let's get it and end on that. Let's get Revelation 12 and let's read 14. So this is Revelation 12:14. And it says, and the woman, all right, that's the elect, were given two wings of a great eagle, that she may fly into the wilderness, meaning be transmitted, okay, taken by the angels, okay, into Megiddo, to the land of Israel, and to her place where she is nourished for a time and a half time from the face of the serpent. All right. And we know after that time, time and a half time, Satan shall be loose. Okay, Satan shall be loose. All right. And it says, verse 17, no, that's the point on that. Um, so basically that's the point I want to bring out, break it down and give you some understanding on what this is referring to, man, to give a correct timeline and show you there is a pre-tribulation. All right. Meaning there's a time where the elect is going to be taken, transmitted, okay, carried into the land of Israel for a time, time and a half time and dwell safely. All right. And after those 3.5 days, which adds up to 1,260 days, that's why the Bible referred to it as 1,000 years. All right. It's not dealing with 1,000 literal years, man. You guys are breaking the scriptures down wrong, man. Okay. You breaking the scriptures down wrong, man. You're not rightly dividing the word of truth, man. Okay. So this is the correct understanding, man. All right. Those who was taken in Luke 17, let's get that again, man, because there's a lot of confusion around this Luke 17 and those who are being taken. We're going to look up this word taken again. Let's look up this word taken again. Let's see. So the word taken, 3880, G3880. And it says to receive, to take up, to take away. To take away, it says to join to oneself, to associate, a companion, a companion, a companion. It says to receive something, transmit it, transmit it. Okay? Transmit it. So now let's look up the word left. And the other shall be left. Left where? Left wherever they at, man. They're not going to be gathered. They're not going to be transmitted. They're not going to receive those wings. They're not going to receive those wings so that they can fly into a place, right, where the woman is nourished for a time, time and a half time. So it says to leave behind, right, to suffer, to forsake, let alone. It says to send away of a husband divorcing a wife, all right, of a husband divorcing a wife. So those are the ones that's left behind, okay? Those are the ones that's left behind. So let's see if we can get some more understanding. What I want to bring out. Let's get that Revelation, I believe 20 again, and so this is Revelation 20 and 6. Let's go back over that. So this is Revelation chapter 20, and let's read verse 6. It says, "Blessed and holy is he that take part in the first resurrection." That first resurrection is what I just read about. Okay. On such the second death has no power. The second death has no power. When the tribulation began, it has no power over those who took part in that first resurrection, but they shall be priests of God and of Yahushua and shall reign with him for 1,000 years. 1,000 years, 1,260 days, a time, time and a half time. And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loose out of his prison and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog. That's the nations. Okay. To gather them together to battle, to come against the elect, the number of whom is as the sea, as the sand of the sea, and they went up on the breadth of the earth and could pass the camp of the saints, could pass the camp of the saints, those who were taken to Megiddo, man. all right, who was dwelling safely. All right, you can read about that in Ezekiel 38. It says, and the beloved city, and fire came down from heaven and devoured them, and the devil that deceived them were cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever, to never rise again, man. Okay, so uh that's the point on that. Let's get one last precept, and it's just a recap. It's just a recap. So let's get that Revelation 19:17. This is Revelation 19, and let's read verse 17. So it says, and I saw an angel. Oh, Salak, that's not the one I wanted. Let's see, Revelation 16. Let's see. So this is Revelation 16, and let's see. Well, let's start at 16 and 16. It says, and he gathered them together in a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon. Armageddon. Let's look up that Armageddon and show you what that Armageddon is referring to. So, Armageddon, it says a hill or city of Megiddo. And that's a place in Israel, man. Okay, of Megiddo. It says symbolic name of Armageddon. Let's see. So this is plain, man. I mean, you have a lot of guys that's gonna reject this breakdown, but this is on point, man. This is precept upon precept, man. This is uh the correct understanding, man. Because you guys teaching that we're gonna reign for a literal 1,000 years, and after the 1,000 years of Esau being trapped in a pit or some prison somewhere, they're gonna come up out of that pit and come against the elect, which that don't make no sense. That 1,000 years is referring to 1,260. All right, that's the 1,000 years from 1,260, score days, which adds up to 3 days and a half. So um, let's read Revelation 16:16. And he gathered them together in a place, all right, called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon. Armageddon. Let's see. So that's the point. Uh, that's the point on that, man. So I hope you brothers was edified, and with that, shalom.